Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why you can recognize a friend's face in a black and white photo just as easily as in a color one? Or why some people who gain sight later in life seem to rely so heavily on color? Well, today we're diving into a fascinating new idea that might explain it all. This paper explores how our brains learn to see and understand the world, especially how we learn to recognize objects and why color, which seems so important, isn't always the key. The researchers propose something called a two-stage scaffolding model. Think of it like building a house. You need a strong foundation first, and then you can add the decorations and finer details. There is a previous idea that maybe babies' eyes aren't great with color when they're born, so their brains learn to focus on brightness first. And then, people who are born with vision problems like dense cataracts and then have surgery later in life might be stuck relying on color because they missed that early brightness first learning stage. But this new research questions that simple idea. The new idea is that it is not just about color being immature, it is a two-step process or scaffolding that starts even before we're born. Stage 1, the prenatal stage, is all about what the researchers call retinal waves. Imagine our developing eyes before we're even born. Even though there is no light yet, our retinas are buzzing with a kind of spontaneous electrical activity. These are the retinal waves. Think of them as spontaneous practice sessions for the brain. They sweep across the retina, even before we see anything. The crucial part here is that these early retinal waves are basically blind to color. They only deal with patterns of light and dark or contrast in firing rates. So they build a foundation for our visual system, but it is a foundation that is color neutral or achromatic. It is all about spatial structure and timing, not hue. These waves help organize where things go in the brain, like creating maps of what we see, separating the input from each eye, and developing the basic building blocks of how we detect light and dark. This groundwork is essential for both color vision and brightness vision later on, but it is laid down without any color information at all. And it gets more interesting. Even the light that filters into the womb before birth is mostly a dim reddish glow. It is not like full spectrum sunlight, it provides some light stimulus. But again, it is not rich in color information, it's more of a general on or off signal. So even when we start seeing light, it is still not very colorful. This brings us to stage 2, after birth. Newborn babies' vision is pretty fuzzy. Their ability to see details, to notice differences in brightness, and especially their color vision are all still developing. It's like looking through a cloudy window. Because everything is so blurry and low in contrast, the only reliable information about shapes and objects is in the brightness, the luminance. Color is just too hard to make out clearly at this fuzzy stage. So the brain is forced to build its very first understanding of objects based on light and dark patterns. This is the experiential scaffolding. And here is the kicker. This brightness-based foundation is incredibly strong and lasts a long time. While basic brightness vision gets good relatively quickly, our color vision takes years to fully mature, sometimes up to age 12 or 13. So our brains get a massive head start in building object recognition based on brightness. This means that by the time our color vision is fully developed, our brains already have a whole system in place for recognizing objects based on their light and dark patterns. Color becomes an extra helpful layer, but it is not the main building block. That's why we can still recognize things perfectly well in black and white. Now, let's look at those individuals who gain sight later in life, like the Prakash patients mentioned. They had cataracts that blocked vision for years. According to this model, their stage 1, the prenatal retinal waves, likely happened, normally giving them that basic structural foundation. But because their eyes were covered, they missed out on stage 2, that crucial period of learning with a fuzzy image where the brain builds object recognition based on brightness. So, when they suddenly get clear vision, their brains are presented with a fully developed image, but they haven't built that strong luminance-based foundation. In this situation, color becomes the easiest way for their brains to start making sense of things. It is like immediate color coding. They can tell apart blue from green, red from yellow, which gives them a quick way to segment and identify objects. They didn't have the years of fuzzy brightness-based learning that made us so good at grayscale. This two-stage model offers some key differences from previous ideas. It suggests it is not just color immaturity, but the whole package of underdeveloped vision brightness, detail, and color that forces the brain to focus on brightness first. And importantly, the researchers have come up with specific predictions to test this. One prediction is that if you mess with the image in any way, not just by making it black and white, people who gain sight later might struggle. Because their object recognition wasn't built up from a fuzzy world, it is generally fragile, not just fragile to color removal. Another test is to see how people do with images filtered in different ways. For those of us with normal development, our brains are used to seeing fuzzy things, so maybe we're better with low detail images. But for those who missed that phase, their performance might be different. They also predict that for people gaining sight later, the reliance on color won't be there immediately. It will develop over time as their brains start to build some kind of foundation, and color will be the easiest tool to use at first. And a really interesting idea, the later someone has surgery for cataracts, the more they should rely on color. This is because they've missed even more of that crucial scaffolding period. What is really cool is that these predictions aren't just for one group. They can be tested in preterm babies, in people with certain eye conditions like retinopathy of prematurity, and even by looking at the effects of things like maternal smoking. This makes the model really robust and testable. The researchers even suggest how we could test some of this using computers and AI. Current computer models that try to mimic vision often don't account for this two-stage process. They suggest training AI with a similar two-stage approach, first with fuzzy inputs, then with more detailed ones. So, what does this all mean? It is a much deeper story than just color vision develops late. It is about how our entire visual system is built, step by step, using whatever information is most reliable at each stage. From the uncolored electrical storms in our prenatal retinas to the fuzzy world of infancy, our brains are building from the ground up, with brightness usually taking the lead. This research is really powerful because it brings together so many different types of evidence, from how our brains develop before birth to how babies see, and how people learn to see later. It offers a more complete picture than just focusing on color. The real takeaway is that our visual system's ability to handle color missing is not a magical trick, but the result of a long developmental process. It is about how the brain builds robust systems. It suggests that early limitations, when they happen in a coordinated way, can actually be beneficial, helping to build a strong foundation for later processing. This research really makes you rethink how we learn to see the world around us. What do you think about this scaffolding idea? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into the science of vision, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the wonders of the mind. Thanks for watching.